Hi, I am Sua, and my project is about the Victorian flower language. Okay, so let's begin from the very start. The flower language, or floriography, originated in the Ottoman Turkey, where flowers started having meaning beyond their color and how pretty they looked. Later, in the Victorian era, the coded language became a huge hit in Europe, where showing one's true feelings in the open was usually frowned upon. This is all thanks to this very cool lady, Lady Marie Wortley Montagu, the wife of the British ambassador in Turkey, who was also a writer and a poet herself. She introduced florography to Britain in 1770. From then on, the flower craze spread through Europe like wildfire. Okay, so now that there is some historical background, I'll leave you with part 1, the flowers. Let's move on to part number 2, translating the messages that my classmates gave me using floriography. First, I wrote down all of the messages that I received. It is practically impossible to translate word for word, because there are so many words and obviously not all of them have a direct translation. Besides, with all of the colors and variety, it would make a very strange bouquet. So, the solution was to take the main feelings that had to be delivered and work based on those. Once I did that, I spent the next few days or so looking for flowers that closely matched those feelings. Also, I want to take a second to thank all of those who wanted to participate and were kind enough to help me. Thank you for your messages. I hope you really like the end result. On to the last part, illustrating the messages into bouquets. Starting with this one, I first looked for the reference pictures of all of the flowers. I only chose the ones that meant what I wanted, but also made sure that they would match well in a bouquet. This message wanted to thank the receiver for support during the hard times and wanted to show respect. For this, I used lady seals, that translates to be my support, agrimony, Canterbury bell, and camellia for thankfulness and gratefulness, and finally juniper for protection. I then arranged them together into a bouquet that I think looks pretty good. Of course, not all of the messages that the flowers sent were positive and about love. Anger and regret were also feelings that often got translated, and this is exactly the case with this message. The sender wanted to erase the memories they had with a person, I assume out of newfound hatred. For this, I used petunias, which means resentment and anger, rosemary, which means remembrance, colchicum, which takes the meaning of my best days have passed, and candytuft, which means indifference. Honestly, this might be my favorite one. I think the bouquet ended up really beautiful, and it contrasts with a very harsh message. If it were given to a person, I doubt they would think it has a negative message. This next one was also negative, but more in a way that accused the receiver of indifference while making the subject out to be beautiful. I decided on yellow carnations for disappointment, dogwood, in which means I am indifferent to you, geraniums as in stupidity and fullness, and narcissus for egotism. Lastly, I added burgundy colored roses for unconscious beauty, as in they don't know that they're beautiful, or the person doesn't realize that something is beautiful. A simpler, happier one is this one, where the sender wanted to show how happy they were of meeting the receiver. To show this, I thought a simple combination would be best, and only chose camellias for gratitude, chrysanthemums for you are a wonderful friend, and added caladium or angel wings for delight. These messages were actually two that I combined into one. The messages were really short, so short that I could actually express the entire sentence with a single flower. So I thought that combining them into making a bouquet would be better. I ended up using an assorted color of roses, which means you are everything to me, primrose, that means I can't live without you, and princess feather, that shows unfading love. The last one might be a little bit late for Mother's Day. Sorry. But it is still a great way to show your mother that you love her. So, to do this, I used a dark pink rose for thankfulness, pussy willow for motherhood, juniper for protection, and holly for domestic happiness. And there, the 6 completed bouquets. If you are one of the people that send me a message, I would be very glad to print a small postcard size of your bouquet and send it to you. Of course, this is only if you want. I thought it would be a nice way of thanking you for your participation. So if you would like this, please send me a message. So yeah, this was my project on the Victorian flower language. Thank you for your attention, and I hope this topic was interesting for you and you had a nice time learning about it. Have a nice day!